Monday to everyone in the sports universe. It is March the 20th, 2023. This is the AM Drive on our YouTube page. For Aaron Crouch, who's got a nice mug, I am Michael Carvelis, and we're both rocking the hoodies. What's going on, Aaron? How was your weekend, sir?
Weekend was good. Of course, it was opening weekend of March Madness. I mean, pretty damn insane. I know we'll talk about it, but, just off the bat, two number one seeds just sent home with their parting gifts. That's a nice little touch. But, yeah, I mean, it was a fun weekend to watch. Played a little golf, too.
Remind me who the second number one seed is before we get into it. Are you talking about the women's seed too, or are you talking about just the two men's? Was there two men's?
Yeah, we had Purdue go down as a number one seed to the 16 seed, second time in history.
Barely Dickinson or whatever it's called.
Yeah, and then in the second round, we had Kansas go down to Arkansas.
Okay, and people were saying Arkansas is dangerous, and I got you. And then, of course, in the women's side, Stanford did not advance to the second round for the first time since 2007 in the women's side.
Yeah, I am surprised that the women's tournament goes alongside the men's. They used to go opposite. They used to go. They would play Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or something like that, and then the guys would play on the weekends.
And there's a reason for that, but okay.
What was the reason? Tell me.
I forgot. It escapes my memory, but I knew there was some big reason.
Well, I would imagine if you actually want to get eyeballs on it, I would imagine you would go against the men's. But
it's really sad. Oh well.
I mean, it's the world. Say love you.
Right. MikeandAaronDrive.com. It's our shop, sponsors, socials, and YouTube in one place. We are very active on Twitter at AM Drive TV and on the YouTube page. We've been uploading regularly to YouTube, and thank you for the 44 people that subscribed. I'm not mad at that.
Yeah. If you're watching this, you could be 45. Let's go.
Woo! All right. All right, March Madness opening weekend was pretty insane. And let's start with Friday's games. I'll just run down a couple of things here. Is this Kennesaw? Xavier survived Kennesaw State, and Xavier's the 3 seed. That was on Friday. Just a lot of – this is a good weekend. Oh, yeah, Fairleigh Dickinson, 63-58 over Purdue. That was insane.
Yeah, what a fun to watch at the end, too, for sure.
So sad for Beck's Boilermakers. He admitted that he did not even watch the game either.
It's crazy because, these teams fun stat. I mean, I think the most fun stat of the tournament, Fairleigh Dickinson. Okay. Fairleigh Dickinson, obviously, they're a team you don't really think about. Their average height of their team. You want to take a guess at the average height of their team?
6'3".
Yeah, you would hope if you were Fairleigh Dickinson. The average height of Fairleigh Dickinson's roster is 5'11".
That doesn't even make basketball sense.
The average height of Purdue's roster was 6'9", including a 7'4" guy who might win, I think, Player of the Year. And you guys lose to Fairleigh Dickinson? This is absolutely insane. Matt Painter, if I'm Purdue, I'm strongly considering firing Matt Painter. Not just for this game, but 3 straight years, Matt Painter has lost as a 3 seed or better to a 14 seed or worse.
That's how that math lines up, yeah.
2020
first round exits 3 years in a row?
They're not all first round exits. 2021, he lost as a 3 seed to a 14 seed. 2022, he lost as a 2 seed to a 15 seed. 15 seed. Actually, I think they might all be first round exits.
They are first round exits.
This last year, he lost as a 16 seed to a 1, which again has only happened twice. It's insane. So I'm on the fire Matt Painter wagon.
Oh, did you know, Fairleigh Dickinson, I believe, did not even win their tournament, but their own.
They didn't.
Their own conference tournament.
Or runner-up in their tournament, but the problem is the team who won it, Merrimack, it's their first year in Division I, which, firstly, this is insane. Your first year in Division I, you're not eligible for postseason.
Dumb.
dumb is that? Like, if you can jump up to Division I and win a conference, I don't care what conference it is, but I mean,
you're
without
not able to do that, so why should there be a rule against that?
Right. Well, without that, I guess we would not have had the Fairleigh Dickinson miracle. I don't know. I'm not saying
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, I mean, Merrimack may not have been able to beat Purdue. I don't know.
Princeton women and Princeton men won, by the way. The men were the 15 seed. They upset number 7 Missouri. Misery. I mean, I'm not a Missouri's always like right there in the middle of the pack, and they always lose. So they're never great, but it's so cool that Princeton. One thing is low key one of the coolest logos in all of college sports. That Tiger P is really cool. I've always like loved that thing, and they're like always just like one of those Yale and Harvard schools, like the Ivy League kind of thing. So it was kind of cool to see not only their men but also their women win in like their games. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, another fun fact I found. So Michigan State's coach Tom Izzo, we all know him. He's been around forever.
He's the next one to retire, probably. Unfortunately,
it's possible, but he has now won. Good morning. He has now won 12 games as the lower seed in NCAA March Madness history. That's pretty impressive.
It is very impressive. Which shows you, I don't know if they're skating through the regular season. I mean, that's impressive because they have not always had they've had the Draymond Greens, the Denzel Valentines. Those guys were like never good, and they don't always have the best college players in my opinion. Like they have like a step below a Duke, a step below a North Carolina, and people like that.
Yeah, I mean they're
up there, it's not higher enough.
Yeah, in college basketball, I don't know if I would consider them a blue blood, but they're probably, like you said, right there on the next tier of teams.
Because of him, they're a high tier 2 team.
You put Tom Izzo in the dance, and he can be dangerous. And I mean, they're back in the Sweet 16, and it's funny. It's just Tom Izzo finds a way to take these guys that aren't, like you said, the blue chip players and take them deep in the playoff here.
Rick Pitino, his team was it San Jose State or whatever? Who's Rick Pitino's team?
He coaches Iona.
Okay, so I think they lost, right?
They did.
And now he's saying he doesn't know what the future holds. Blah blah blah. It's funny. Like, did he get in trouble with recruiting violations? And now I guess. Came and winning a basketball game for I don't know. The fact is that Rick Pitino's not questioning his future. It's sad because I know Iona was supposed to make a deep run because of him, and that was squashed.
I don't think Iona really had a chance, but it sounds like he's going to be a coach in St. John's.
Oh,
so, yeah, he's back in the Big East. So we'll see what happens with him. And I don't blame him. You know, he likes the spotlight, and yeah, there were some issues at Louisville, which got him ousted.
Louisville.
His assistants, but big man has to take the fall. So,
amen. Games today don't really. I mean, we got FAU and Tennessee, Gonzaga, UCLA. To me, I have UCLA like in my. I called it the bracket I would have filled out. Okay, I would have had UCLA in my Final Four. I'll fully disclose that right now. So if they lose Gonzaga, that way I'm not lying. I think UCLA Gonzaga is going to be insane.
Yeah, it's a good matchup for sure.
And then Friday we got Alabama, who I still believe that was probably my pick to win it all. And they got to play San Diego State.
They're the best team. They've proved it twice. They're going to have to be, some teams going to have to be on their A game and catch them slipping. And right now with 2 number 1 seeds, in the trash, it's going to be hard. They were the number 1 seed, number 1 overall seed. They play the best basketball. I know they have that cloud hanging over them, but I don't think it's going to really be a problem. I think they're just going to take care of business with San Diego State. And they almost have, God forbid, Princeton gets another one against Creighton. I think they can beat both of these teams. But, can you an Elite 8 with a 15 versus a 1?
That's wild. I think Creighton, they're 9.5 point favorites, which blows my mind. Like, I'm surprised that Princeton doesn't get more love than that.
Yeah, especially
You make it that far, I feel like 9.5 is kind of a slap in the face, ain't it?
With the way that Princeton took care of Missouri, I mean, Missouri was never in that game.
Ugh.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm a little surprised. But Creighton's a good squad. So Creighton's another team that secretly pops into the Sweet 16 every once in a while.
The Blue Jays, I think.
Yes, you're correct. Yes.
I do like – I like the Blue Jays, so I've always had love for Creighton. One more thing. So Houston plays Miami today, right? 1 versus 5. Houston is 33-3 in a BS conference. Miami was 27-7, and they play in the ACC, by the way. And Houston's favored by 7. Give me Miami even if Houston wins. Like, I think Miami. Like, how about this? Miami has less losses than the 2 and the 3 in the Midwest, Texas and Xavier. Those guys have 8 and 9. So I think Miami could play around with Houston for a little bit. I think Houston's going to win.
Well, I was a little worried about Miami in the first round against Drake, but then they really kind of turned it on against Indiana, ran away from that game. You're right. I mean, Houston is not a fantastic team. They have a lot of wins. I think they're 33-3 or 34-3. But they're going to be, with the number 1 seed, Alabama and Houston still left, they're going to be the lesser of the 2 seeds.
Agreed.
I think ultimately they will win, but you're right. I mean, this game, is played on Friday, and it's going to be a good one because it's pretty much that's the chalkiest region of all 4 regions. I mean, you look at the other regions, you have 1 versus 5 and 6 versus 15 in Alabama's region, and then in the East, you have 9 versus 4 and 3 versus 7, and then you have 3 and 2 and 4 and 8. So I mean, theoretically, this is the chalkiest region. I mean, it's almost a 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a 1, 2, 3, 5. But yeah, I mean, it wouldn't shock me if Miami covered. That should be a good game. I mean, don't forget Houston in their game against Auburn was down by 10 at halftime and came back off the bus and blew the doors off of Auburn in the second half.
Final 4 pick right now. Gun to my head again. I didn't have a bracket. I'm going to go UCLA, Texas, Michigan State, and Alabama. I was a fan of Texas and Alabama. That was like my 2 teams. And UCLA. Those are my teams.
Yeah, I'm going to pencil in Alabama. I think they have the easiest road to get there because, like I said, I think they get by.
You think?
Well, they get by they get by San Diego State, and that's
a good coach team.
There's a chance they play a 15 seed in the Elite 8. That's insane.
Oh.
For the number 1 overall seed. Yeah. I picked Tennessee in the Purdue bracket to get there, and they're still there, so I'm going to stick with them.
Okay.
UCLA and the Midwest is tough, but I think I'm going to stick with Houston.
That's fair. All right, let's get to this. Dillon Brooks has been fined for shoving a cameraman, and this is not recycled from Devontae Adams. This is a real story. It happened against the Miami Heat, by the way. And I don't know if you've seen the video, because I did. And I've watched it, and I watched it in slow motion. When I watched it in real time, it felt like he got up and shoved him. When I watched it in slow motion, it emphasized my point times 20. This, and I hate being a Mike said it first guy, but since you brought it up on the topic list, I'm going to say it. There is an issue in Memphis, and it's a big issue that no one's talking about. They might be talking about the John Morant thing. They might be talking about how these guys are like a little bit dirty. They'll have a little bit culture. I think something is wrong with the front office. Like there's something going on that's dark there, and no one wants to bring it up. I really believe that.
Please enlighten me.
I don't know anything. I'm not an insider over here. That's only for the NLL. But like for John Morant thing, Jay Williams and Stephen A. Smith called that out. Like you took 8 days away from the team, and now you're gonna have some interview with Jalen Rose, and you've learned from your mistakes. That's weird. Like Memphis is covering up a lot of dirt, and I would like to see what's in the coffin that they've buried. I want to open it up. I'm going to go in there and dig it up. I would feel this is you. Dillon Brooks, who shoves a cameraman? Remember, this guy is not just a random Dillon Brooks. This guy's become an absolute, like for a better term, thug in the NBA. Like he's like literally a dirty player by this point.
Right.
And I used to root for him in Oregon. So I don't know what. Well, this is not just a one-off incident. You get up, you shove. Like, what did he say to you? I don't think he said anything.
I would imagine most likely he didn't, and it just feels wrong. It's like the cameraman wasn't on the court. He wasn't overstepping his bounds. He wasn't,
Right.
and like you said, I mean, you watch something in real time and it looks bad. You watch something in slow motion. Sometimes it actually vindicates the guy, but you
Right.
like you said, it looks worse. I mean, he's literally just, extension of the arm, and the cameraman falls back. But for what purpose? The cameraman didn't do anything for you. This street clout wannabes here on the Memphis Grizzlies. I don't understand it. Like, you let Draymond Green get into your head and call you a bully, and it's exactly what Draymond's game is at this point. And I don't know what it is. I mean, these guys are trying to play a villain role. Are they using this as motivation? Like, to say that it's the front office. I mean, I can understand what you're saying with the front office hiding things, because
they always do that, to be fair.
I do believe that they tried to cover up some of Ja Morant's
transgressions,
idiocracies at this point.
Right.
And, the gun thing, just finally they were like, there's nothing we can do. I don't know if I conjure that up to being a bad front office. I actually honestly wonder if that's, a front office that's just not good at covering up things at this point. But you're right. If you are a front office who cradles and enables these guys, they're eventually going to bite you in the ass, like Dillon Brooks on the court and like Ja Morant off the court.
You know what? It's weird that I respect Draymond Green more, because you can kick players in the nuts all you want to, but that's a player. When you take it off the court, like the Memphis is doing, like with shining lasers from guns at people, with holding up guns, with Dillon Brooks shoving a cameraman, that's the boundary for me. Like, you do not. That's against the rules to me. Yeah, like morally, and like, how do you only find this guy is what gets me. No suspension. You can just go to this cameraman and shove him. That's okay.
Well, to be fair, unless I'm incorrect, I mean, that is technically his first incident with someone or something off the court, correct?
Yeah, but I don't know, man. Something ain't right about that.
I didn't say it was right. I'm just saying, like, I believe that, like, okay, he's had some issues with Donovan Mitchell. He's had some issues with Draymond. He's had some other things going on. But off the court, I do believe that he doesn't have Ja Morant type issues.
Right.
So I can understand a fine. What did he get? $35K, $50K, something like that?
30,000, I think.
Okay. I mean, now he's on the books as kind of a
scumbag.
Well, yeah, I think he may have been already on the books for the Donovan Mitchell thing for that, but I think he's on the books in the NBA for being a nuisance. So he's got to figure out a way to kind of clean up his act. It's cool to be, like you said, it's cool to be a badass on the court, and cool to be a tough guy and a Rodman or Draymond type guy. But that stuff needs to stay on the court. I mean, like I said, what was the point? Have we even heard from Dillon Brooks? Like, has he apologized? Is he remorseful? Is he like, yeah, I did it? Like, he hasn't said anything.
I've never heard that guy talk in my life. And like I said, I liked him in Oregon. We didn't hear anything from him because he's a college kid. I liked him. I've never heard the guy speak.
It just doesn't feel like the culture in Memphis is one that, normal NBA players want to be a part of. And I wouldn't be surprised if, like, Steven Adams is packing his bags in the offseason.
And Steven has had a record of, like, not necessarily being dirty, but being a tough guy
on the court.
The fact that Steven Adams, like, literally had to, like, reportedly stand up and, like, tell the team, like, without saying Ja's name, that we got to stop this on the road crap, like going to clubs and all that stuff. It's just not good.
And he turned around, and then they turned around and slapped him in the face by basically going to a club and brandishing a firearm. So
if people respect Steven Adams, which really sucks that they did that to him.
I can tell you this: when the NBA playoffs come, which is when I pick up a little bit more NBA watching, I will be strongly rooting against Memphis.
As we all will. Alrighty. When we come back, we're talking National Football League. Don't go anywhere.
All right, welcome back here to this Monday edition of the AM Drive, and we are presented by Fanatics. You see it right up there in the corner, but don't go straight to Fanatics. You see it right down there below, MikeandAaronDrive.com. When you go to MikeandAaronDrive.com, there is a link to take you to Fanatics, where you can buy everything, all your favorite stuff in merch, memorabilia, and apparel from Fanatics, your favorite teams, your favorite leagues, your favorite players, World Baseball Classic. We got playoffs coming up in hockey, basketball. Of course, football is just a year-round thing. And, of course, March Madness, whoever cuts down the nets, you're going to want to get that latest swag. MikeandAaronDrive.com. Click the Fanatics logo, shop till you drop, support the show, and we appreciate you guys.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers to Adam Schefter. This is a text where Adam Schefter was he was hearing some things but could not get it verified that Aaron Rodgers wanted to go to the Jets. So he texted Aaron Rodgers somehow, some way. Somebody had his number and leaked it like a scumbag. I'm guessing the Packers did that. I'm sorry. And Aaron Rodgers told Schefter after he asked, "Who's my number?" Nice try, though. That's insane to me. And then Adam Schefter bragged about on ESPN during SportsCenter, sent the tweet out with a screenshot, which I thought was even just more scummy. And then Aaron Rodgers tells it on Pat McAfee show like he didn't appreciate it. Aaron Crouch. I'm not a fan of this. And it's not just because it's Adam Schefter. It's because as a person who leaks information myself, like from another league, but who has sources, I guess, there's a line that has to be drawn, in my opinion. And one of the main things I've been told behind the scenes, and I know you working in Orlando for ESPN, maybe have heard this too, don't talk to the players. Like talk to the people that represent them. Because to me, like, it's almost like Adam Schefter wanted a response from Aaron Rodgers just so we could have clout. And it comes across to me that Adam Schefter, there's a clip that's going around right now where it's like a hype video that looks damning at the same time, where Adam Schefter says, "You like breaking news." It becomes like a drug to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a very good look, in my opinion. Like, as a person, like I said, who does it in a league that's a lot less clout worthy than the NFL, I get what he's saying, but to just brag about this, a personal a conversation with a player who obviously did not want to talk to you, is a bit more scummy. And I'm sure he gets it all the time. But the fact it's so high-profile quarterback, so high-profile reporter, you have to talk about it.
So help me, get me up to speed on the timeline here, because I haven't heard this yet. When did the text message happen? When did Schefter go on TV and try to break something?
I think that was Monday, and I think Tuesday Aaron Rodgers went on there and said what he wanted.
So a week ago. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, but I was just, YouTube recommends me stuff a week later after it happens.
No, that's fine. I wasn't trying to say this was late. So I'm looking at this, and I mean, for a week now, it really feels like, we had the Aaron Rodgers, interview with Pat McAfee, where he was basically like, I woke up out of the 4-day, darkness retreat and said, I want to play for the Jets. So this isn't like, you're not breaking any news, Schefter. Like, what we're waiting for now is when the trade actually goes through. And I know that, Rodgers really has nothing to do with that at this point because, well, let me back up. Rodgers has everything to do with it, but he's already done his part. Let's put it that way. He's already done his part. Come out. He's taken the leverage away from the Jets. He's given it all back to the Packers because the Packers are basically saying, we want to be done with this Aaron Rodgers era, but also we know what Aaron Rodgers is worth, and the Jets seem to be the only team bidding against themselves. So therefore, we can probably get a first or 2 first-round picks out of them, and the Jets are historically dumb enough to do that. So, Rodgers has done his part in this, and there's nothing to break Schefter. Now, I understand this is kind of, when they had the Adam Schefter, Chris Mortensen tag team duo about 10 or so, 15 years ago, and you could feel that Adam Schefter was taking the reins from Chris Mortensen as the NFL insider. It's funny because it seemed like when Mortensen kind of retired, even though I don't know if he's really actually ever retired,
Did
a
he
lot
die?
of huh?
Did he die?
No, he's not dead.
I think he had like a health issue, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think a health issue forced him to really take a step back.
Right.
A lot of players came out kind of in a farewell or a tribute, like, hey, we'll miss you more. And now you don't feel like it's the same. It feels like, and it's not just Schefter, because you see this with so many with journalism. I'd rather be first than be right.
Yep.
And I can't stand that. I really can't. It's like, and with this topic specifically, it's like, I'm glad Aaron Rodgers. I mean, you know me. I'm not a big Aaron Rodgers guy. I'm in Aaron Rodgers' corner with this. Like, lose my numbers, leave me the hell alone, dude. I got like 1 or 2 years left in my career, and then I'll be irrelevant to you. Just go the F away. Just leave me alone.
Teddy Bruschi called out Adam Schefter immediately, and without calling him out, he said, "I know you guys have a job to do." Like, he was saying on the Sports Center special, like, players want to control, like, especially the end of their career. And he said they don't like guys taking that away from them. Like, the comments on YouTube were like, feel like, "Oh, go Teddy Bruschi, let's freaking go, dude." I give a lot of respect for Teddy for saying that too, because it's like, you're right. Like, I get, like, breaking the news. I get that somebody has to do it, but it almost made me want to look at the history of who gave these guys jobs in the first place. Like, I know it's for the entertainment value probably more than anything of leagues, but you have to walk a line there. I know a lot of people are still hating Schefter for the Dwayne Haskins crap, and that was bad. But it feels like the more and more I hear about Schefter, the worse he looks.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because, again, and I'll take this back to Chris Mortensen. The only time you really heard from Chris Mortensen is when information needed to be released.
Yes.
Chris Mortensen didn't have a podcast. He was on NFL Live from time to time, and he gave some analysis and opinions, but you didn't, Chris Mortensen didn't have a podcast. You didn't hear from Chris Mortensen any unnecessary time.
Right.
You heard Chris Mortensen when it was time to be heard from. I feel like Adam Schefter is at the draft. Adam Schefter is on NFL Live. Adam Schefter has a podcast.
Monday Night Football
preview show. Adam Schefter's on Twitter saying dumb shit. Like, Adam Schefter, I hear from him far too much. And I do believe at one time Adam Schefter was friends with a lot of these people. But you're right.
I'm sure, yeah.
The Dwayne Haskins thing, the Tom Brady thing, the Aaron Rodgers, like, he's slowly burning his bridges. And it wouldn't shock me if Adam Schefter's not around in 5 years, because he's not an insider anymore.
Ian Rappaport seems to be the next one taking over, actually.
Yeah, but he's not an ESPN guy.
That's fair. Brandin Cooks, breaking news. Brandin Cooks got traded to the Cowboys for, I think, like a bag of chips, like a second bag of chips, I believe. Like, the picks were pretty late.
Yeah.
5 and a 6, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I know Cowboys Twitter is going to make this more than what it is. Brandin Cooks is injury prone, but injuries aside, he's a big play guy. I don't know how much he's going to play every single down, but there are going to be times where you have to account for him. My only question is, can Dak get you the ball? And I know that Dak can throw it, but Dak will go from having the game of his life to stinking it up again. And the best players, like a Tom Brady, as much as I don't like him or didn't like him, whatever, whether he's retired or not, he stayed consistent. Like, he never had like a really bad game or a really good game. It was always, he's there. So you have to respect that about him. Dak Prescott shows up for 3 games and takes off another 2.
It's funny you mentioned that. Brandin Cooks, one of his best years was actually with Tom Brady. So the 1 year he spent in New England. I like this deal for the Cowboys. I mean, 5th and a 6th. Yeah, I mean, you're probably not going to find a receiver that's better than Brandin Cooks. Injury prone, he really wasn't until he got to Houston. And I wonder if some of that was just like, I'm going to fake this sprained ankle. So
kind of like Carolina, Christian McCaffrey at the end, yeah.
Yeah, so I really think this is a hell of a bolster to the receiving corps, because CeeDee Lamb, who's an obvious number 1. Michael Gallup, if he can stay healthy, is a great number 2, and I think Brandin Cooks plays the slot, which is a really good spot for him. I know he can take the top off the defense and everything, but I don't see that out of Brandin Cooks now versus 4 or 5 years ago. So for him to be able to play the slot here, for me, I mean, like you said, with Dak, Tony Pollard, if they can get another running back to kind of complement Tony Pollard, what's your excuse? What's your excuse now? I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, Dallas has played to the divisional round 2 years in a row, and I believe they were ousted by San Francisco 2 years in a row. And San Francisco is a tough opponent, so it's not like they're underachieving, so to speak. I think I would pick San Francisco in those games 100 times out of 100.
Right.
But I mean, does Brandin Cooks get them to the NFC Championship? No, but I mean, you've got to find ways to get just a little bit better each day, and I think they did.
The problem is for me though with this is Brandin Cooks is a big play guy. He's not a reliable guy in my opinion.
I don't think that's true anymore.
That's fair, but I also feel like I'm more of in the camp of they're not tough enough. Like defensively, they're good at times, but I feel like even Michael was game playing for a lot this year. I'm worried about the Tony Pollard thing, man. I really am. I think that's my bigger concern right now. Wide receiver core great for 5 or 6, have at it, but they got to get a running back, man.
I agree with you. I think they need a second running back, which, again, I understand why you cut Zeke Elliott. I mean, you don't want to pay this guy $15 million to be a backup running back, 100%. But I do think you got to find a way to get somebody. Now, maybe they trade up in the draft to get Bijan Robinson. That's a huge ask. But, I mean, they may find somebody in free agency that can come back and, back up Tony Pollard. We'll see. Maybe Leonard Fournette. I mean, that would be a huge get if they could get Leonard Fournette to come back up.
Yeah, I'm sure he would want to go to Dallas too. I believe that.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's from Dallas. He's from Texas or Louisiana. I know he went to
LSU, so he's probably
so they're close. But I mean, hell, even if you want to make Michael to make Brandin Cooks the Deshaun Jackson type guy, you can put Michael Gallup in the slot. I think they're really good. I mean, they have James Washington, who so far hasn't panned out, but he can be a fourth guy. I mean, they've got the receiving core's fine.
Right.
Core is fine, but I believe that they need. I don't think Tony Pollard's ready to be a feature 400 carry type back.
Agreed. I think he's built for it. I mean, I'm not against him. It's just he doesn't have the stature for it, in my opinion. He's more of a one-cut guy.
Nothing wrong with that.
Right, you're right. Adam Thielen. This is Mike's news. Adam Thielen to the Carolina Panthers. I like this because I know, like, for the last few years, you've had Justin Jefferson, he's Stephon Diggs in Minnesota. I like the fact that Thielen's getting a chance to, like, I don't know if he'll be a number one in Carolina, but they did just get rid of DJ Moore.
Yeah.
And I would not mind seeing Bryce Young yanking around to Adam Thielen. That sounds horrible, but you get it. I wouldn't mind that.
I mean,
Carolina's low-key had a good offseason.
It does beg the question of what Carolina's going to do in the draft, because with the number one pick, they're going to take a quarterback. I mean, you look at their receiving core, their number one. I mean, I guess it's Adam Thielen or it's Terrence Marshall. I mean, it's
not Terrence Marshall.
But this is their number. These are their guys. I mean, you have Adam Thielen, Terrence Marshall, and Laviska Shenault, who hasn't panned out either.
Thank you, I love Laviska, by the way. I'm not done on him yet.
I didn't say I'm done with him. I'm just saying he hasn't panned out. He's, Jacksonville, it didn't work out for him. And when they traded him to Carolina, you really thought he'd be something, but he hasn't been yet. Obviously, it's only been 1 year. But, this quarterback's going to have, a possession receiver in Adam Thielen. Maybe Terrence Marshall can break out this year. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they go for another receiver. Maybe they try to sign another receiver. And then you got Miles Sanders. I mean, we'll see what happens outside of Philly here with him. But this quarterback, whoever comes in, it's not bare, but it's not a cupboard full of delicious things you'd like to try.
It's not naked, but it's definitely only got on underwear right now.
Yeah, okay, that's a way to put it.
You said bare. It was your fault.
All right, I guess that's my fault.
Also, Miles Sanders, I think, was another very underrated signing. Because as a person who traded him away in fantasy, I'm going to let you guys know now. When Miles Sanders was used in Philly, he was good. The only problem is the offense is so geared towards Jalen Hurts, they really didn't need a running back. It was like Lamar Jackson with a bunch of wide receivers. Like, you didn't need a J.K. Dobbins back there. So Miles Sanders, to me, I believe he's going to have a very good year in Carolina, and draft him late in your fantasy. You're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing really changes with this lineup, he's your theoretical number one in Carolina. It's nice to have number one receivers in fantasy football.
Amen. And for regular football, too. When we come back, it's hockey and baseball. Don't go anywhere. Tell the people one more time about that place you go to.
You're right. Don't forget about Fanatics, MikeandAaronDrive.com. Click the link. It looks like that. Take yourself into the Fanatics store. Shop till you drop. Support the channel. And we thank you.
Amen. Connor McDavid. You don't spell. It's one N, isn't it? Is it one N on Connor? I knew that. Or is it two?
No, two.
Is it two? Okay, yeah. Some Connors are different. Conor McGregor comes to Savannah. I don't know how to act. Okay, so Connor McDavid, his first is the first since 1995 to reach 130 points. Yeah, this is a pretty big deal, correct?
Yeah. I mean, you think about back in the day, these guys were scoring 130, 150 regularly. Obviously, the pads were smaller on a goalie, but I mean, the guy he's absolutely runs away with just the talent. I mean, I know that when this was kind of like when Sid the Kid came up in 05, 06, 07, but Connor is just a step better than Sidney Crosby. Now, this is just my lifetime talking, like Mario Lemieux type. He's firmly cemented his place amongst the all-time greats, and I believe he's 28 right now.
So it's only beginning, is what you're saying.
Yeah, he is 26. I'm sorry. He's 26.
Oh, my Lord.
He's 26 years old, and to me, if he never played another hockey game, he's one of the all-time greats.
It's where you got Mahomes and McDavid right now. That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
And Shohei Ohtani. He's not in the stratosphere. But
no, Shohei's in the stratosphere. Shohei is probably more popular than both of them.
Well, that's fair because of the sport they play, but we got to talk about this, though. Is that enough hockey for you? My Kraken lost this guy, so I think the same game it happened. So there you go.
Your Kraken lost what?
I think the Kraken lost the same game this happened, 6-4.
Oh yeah, he's just he's on another level. But the crazy thing is if you want to compare him, he's really kind of like Mike Trout. He's just such a beast in his field, a beast in his craft. But his team is just mundane. Like, he deserves better, and it's not like they don't put pieces around him. I mean, they have arguably the second best player in the league too, with Leon Draisaitl. It just hasn't worked in terms of a title, and it shows you that hockey is one of those just ultimate team games where you can have the best player in the world. It doesn't matter.
I agree with that. You got Dane Smith and Josh Byrne with the Buffalo Bandits in the NLL, and they lose to the Mammoth. So it's the same thing here, really.
They're not the best team this year, because I remember last year they were really good.
Who, Bandits?
Yeah.
Well, they are, but you can't lose. How do you lose 8-13 to Colorado, who stunk it up this year? Is what I'm saying. You have Dane Smith. It just shows you the team aspect of those kind of sports.
Colorado defending champions, right?
Yeah, but they're like 6-6 now.
Bummer.
It is a bummer. World Baseball Classic injury part 2. Jose Altuve. Listen, this is bad. I know the country this and country that, but hearing darn nationalism for just a second, does it really matter to play this classic? I'm just saying.
Yes, 100%. I'm still about it. I'm still 100% about it, and there's nothing that can change my mind after listening to those interviews, and even Trey Turner, because actually the USA was actually the one country I thought these players probably don't care, because I feel like, the USA doesn't really have its own culture, so to speak, because we're such a melting pot. But I even Trey Turner, after hitting a grand slam against Venezuela to go ahead 9-7, they were down 7-5 to hit a game, basically a game-winning grand slam, and for his interview to say that's the biggest home run I've ever hit in my life. It's just, you can't take this away. You can't. It means too much to everybody. I mean, think about the cultural impact that Shohei Ohtani is having on the world right now. I mean, he's probably not going to pitch tonight against Mexico, but if Japan advances, they're going to play the U.S. Shohei versus the U.S. I mean, it's such an insane matchup here at this point. He comes into the States because all the games are now in Miami. He comes into the States after beating the Czech Republic, wearing a Czech Republic hat, and the entire country of the Czech Republic, because they just beat the Czech Republic, he's showing respect to them. The entire country of the Czech Republic, like the president or the prime minister or whatever, comes out and says, like, our country is so overjoyed with the respect that Shohei Ohtani. Like, I know this sounds little, but like, think about like kids in the Czech Republic or kids in all these other countries who see Shohei Ohtani respecting their nation, and think about how, you know, kids get into hobbies and sports. Like, how do you get into
what would this bat and ball do? Smack.
Yeah, I mean, you think about how hockey has evolved from just a Canadian sport, how soccer has evolved into a world sport, baseball, it's starting to be the same. And, you know, it's crazy. The numbers for some of these games have rivaled World Series games. They actually have beaten World Series telecasts. So I know that this is March and, you know, there's not a ton going on. I know they're facing March Madness, whereas World Series games are sometimes facing NFL games. But to tell me that this means nothing, I don't buy it. I understand that the amount of financial investment that goes into these players, which we all think is insane. Yeah. If that was such a big deal, these owners would forbid them from playing. But they don't. Because they know how much it means to these players' countries.
You know what, though? The fact that it is every 4 years, I believe, adds a little bit more to it.
Yeah.
I think that does help. And in fact, you can kind of deal with a 3-month injury. Like, how's that? You can't. Edwin Diaz, that hurts. Both literally and physically and like figuratively here. But I like the every 4 years aspect of it. I really do. But I feel like this. I'll be honest. I would rather watch World Baseball Classic than March Madness. Because I feel, I know I'm probably in the minority for that.
That one, I think.
Like, huh?
I think you are in that one. But that's okay.
What are we getting with college basketball? Every single year, there's a 15 seed or a 12 seed. Who gives a crap? I'm watching the best players in baseball team up together. That doesn't mean anything to anybody. It blows my mind. That's how bad baseball is in this country. That's how bad the MLB has stunk this up. When you talk about World Series, I think that speaks more to the MLB than it does the World Baseball Classic.
Right. Well, the World Baseball Classic is not governed by the MLB, so and honestly, it's funny that you mentioned that because, you know, of all the controversy that the pitch clocks have gotten and everything.
Controversy, I love it.
The World Baseball Classic is not playing by those rules, and they're still drawing. They're selling out the Miami Marlins, dude. The single elimination part of the tournament, they have had more fans at Miami Marlins Park than the Oakland A's had in 81 games all year. In 4 games, they've had more fans.
Oakland's got good fans.
Apparently not.
No, but Oakland, like for the Warriors, they were packing out Warriors games.
Sure, when they're good.
No, they have some good fans in Oakland. You have to admit that. Come on now. Raiders, when they stunk it up, are packing out. Come on.
Oakland's going to lose all 3 teams. It's insane. Anyways, my point being is that, you know, the old way of playing is not dead to some of these guys. Now, I've watched a spring training game with the new rules, and I don't hate it. I
bet you it's entertaining.
It's a quick pitch. I mean, it's get up, get back to the mound and throw. I'll adjust. I'll still watch baseball because I think we're going to get a lot more scoring. The scoring thing is not what I just like. I don't have to sit around and eat a whole bag of popcorn before the next pitch. Like that
that gets me sometimes. Like waiting and waiting and waiting. It's not like I don't think they should have sped it up as much as they did. I have to agree with that part. But like, give me like a 30-second pitch clock for crying in the sink.
That's what I said. 30 seconds. Yeah.
Was it like 20?
It's 20 with runners on, 15 with the bases empty.
See, I can't do that. Because to me, there's so much that goes involved with pitching and like the mind games. I get that part. I think they're going to adjust it. I'll make a bold prediction right now. I think they'll adjust it for like 5 or 10 seconds.
I think they will too. 25 seconds with runners on is a little bit better. But Max Scherzer said it best. He's like, I'm the one on the clock, but the damn batter doesn't step in until my clock's down to 6. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I feel like there should be some onus on the hitter. Like, I don't need you to spend 18 of my 20 seconds adjusting your gloves. Get back in the box. So that's why I like that Scherzer is basically like,
Scherzer's a pretty big name.
Well, as soon as Scherzer, as soon as the guy steps in the box, he's already in the middle of his lineup. He's like, let's go.
It's been a great Monday, Aaron.
Absolutely. That's going to do it here for us. Don't forget our fantasy draft Friday where we had the best sports days. We're going to put that up on
that was my bad.
On a poll. And next Friday, we're going to have another fantasy draft as well. I like bringing back the iteration of the fantasy draft Fridays. But for this Monday show, we are done here. We thank you guys very much for tuning in, listening, supporting, and shopping. Of course, check out Mike and Aaron Drive. It's got all the good stuff in one place. Shop sponsors, socials, and our YouTube page where you can see our shiny mugs each and every Monday and Friday. So until Friday, for Michael Carvelis, I'm Aaron Crouch saying have a great day.
Drive safe.